What's up, Steelers fans? I saw all of your comments. I've seen the poll on the channel. Let's go ahead. Let's settle the debate before we get into today's show. Are the Steelers black and yellow, type BY, or are the Steelers black and gold, type BG? You're watching Steelers Talk. Mitchell Rance from Chat Sports, ready to get into the latest going on around the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the top trending story out there is around arguably the top defensive back, arguably one of the biggest names out there in free agency, the Honey Badger. So last season was the free safety for the Kansas City Chiefs. There have been some reports out there that the Steelers have shown some interest in Mathieu, but you guys got to remember, a lot of people are looking for leaked sources, this or that. He's his own agent, so he's going to go ahead and he's going to keep a lot of things closer to him. Yesterday on Chat Sports, I discussed, and I thought the most logical place for him to go was actually Pittsburgh. I think it'd be a really good pairing with Fitzpatrick. You're losing Terrell Edmunds as well, so will they go ahead and sign him? The ability to be a Swiss Army knife is a very important thing in today's NFL, especially when you're somebody who used to be a solid free safety like Mathieu. Now I see him probably getting converted a little bit more to a box safety, strong safety, and if you need to put him back there, you can go ahead and do that. That's what makes him so great. Now, you have some other players that you're able to add also in free agency like Levi Wallace, who, credit to him, I actually liked him quite a bit. 58 tackles, re-signed, 2 interceptions, 10 pass breakups. You ended up re-signing Ahkello Witherspoon, who was one of the most, I'll say, underappreciated, versatile defensive backs on the Pittsburgh Steelers last season. 15 tackles, 3 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. But the idea that Edmunds is more than likely not coming back, that's one of the biggest reasons why I do think it makes a lot of sense for Pittsburgh to go ahead and make this move. You're going up against Lamar Jackson. You're going up against Deshaun Watson. You're going up against Joe Burrow and a team that just lost in the Super Bowl, and they have done everything in their power to make sure that they are getting better. So my answer to this question is very simple. I would go ahead and type my Y for yes if I was Pittsburgh, because you got to be able to compete. You're not only trying to compete with the teams in your own division, you got to compete with a lot of talent in the AFC. Josh Allen, the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Broncos. There's tons and tons of high-level playoff caliber teams in the AFC. So type that Y for yes, type that N for no. Should the Steelers go out and sign the Honey Badger? Another name that keeps on popping up, and this could be a little bit more of a plan B, if you will, Jayron Kearse. Last season was with the Dallas Cowboys. He had 101 tackles, 2 picks, 10 pass breakups, and he's a little bit more of your typical strong safety, I guess it would be a good way to be able to put it. Had 9 tackles for loss. I thought he did a halfway decent job as well last season, filling in when needed to for Dallas. He definitely played better with Dan Quinn, at least that's my personal opinion. But he's a big, hard-hitting dude, and I really, truly believe there's going to be a lot of Steeler fans out there, Yins, that would like that move quite a bit because he will bring that physicality. He will bring a lot of what you like to see in the steel curtain. So in terms of overall Kearse, personally, you set Honey Badger at 1, then you go Kearse number 2. Jeremy was whispering something in my ear, but Dallas lowballed him on his offer, which is why he's still kind of out there. So go ahead, pick one to sign. Let's say Mathieu, you're almost going to have to pay him double compared to Kearse. Type M for Mathieu, or type K for Jayron Kearse. I am a little bit dyslexic, so that's why I always say the Honey Badger. M for Mathieu or K for Kearse. If any of these moves end up going down, we'll go ahead and we'll break it down for you here on Steelers Talk. So please hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications because I do not want you to miss anything. A lot of stuff happening here in the AFC. Let's go to the next rumor circulating, and it's around Julio Jones. And anytime a big-name player gets released, we see the comments. We go on YouTube. We see what you guys are saying. And we had enough people ask us, should the Pittsburgh Steelers go out and get Julio Jones, right? Juju Smith-Schuster, he's going to go do TikTok dances with Jackson Mahomes in Kansas City. So would it be smart to bring in another receiver? I love Julio Jones, and personally, I've always been a big fan of his. However, the injuries are starting to rack up. He has missed 14 games the past 2 seasons, which never going to be a good thing from top to bottom. Had 31 grabs last season in Tennessee. This is the first time he's ever been a free agent. Then with the Atlanta Falcons, 51 catches, 771 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's not the Julio Jones that we grew up watching, grew up absolutely loving. 2019 to 2018, phenomenal seasons. That 2017 season that he had with Shanahan and with Matt Ryan, again, very, very impressive. And if you can go out and get him, sure, maybe. But as the third receiver, I just don't think it's going to end up happening. So you guys can go ahead and tell me, is Julio Jones washed? 1 for yes, 0 for no. I don't think he's washed. I think he's injured, and I think there's a difference between that. When you've had the amount of soft tissue injuries that Julio Jones has had, I think if he was healthy, he could still be good. However, the injuries have just added up. One of the biggest needs for the Pittsburgh Steelers is still being able to go out and find a offensive tackle that you can rely on, a left tackle especially. A name that keeps on getting brought up is Andre Dillard, and I know a lot of y'all are like, oh man, we're not going to trade with an inner Pennsylvania type of team, but the Steelers, they need to get the offensive line better. You want to be able to protect Mitch Trubisky, you got to do it. And Dillard's been a name that has been on the trading block. It's not because he's not a good player. He was drafted in the first round back in 2019, had an injury, and then just never really saw the field. Got beat out, and then you also had Lane Johnson. So could the Steelers go ahead and trade for Dillard? He's 6'5", 315 pounds out of Washington State. Played in 8 games last season, allowed only 1 sack. According to PFF, he's had an over 70 grade as well. So Andre Dillard can still be a very good player. If you don't decide to go this route, are you gonna rely on Dan Moore Jr.? I mean, he 16 games last season, allowed 7 sacks. Ben Roethlisberger did a lot better of a job of getting the ball out quickly. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky to be able to get the ball out as quickly. Let me just say that. So here's a trade that we decided to mock up here. We talked to an Eagles fan here that lives in the Chat Sports studios, and we decided to say, okay, would you make this deal? The Steelers receive Andre Dillard. The Philadelphia Eagles, they get a 3rd and a 6th round pick. So what I want you guys to do, look at this deal, soak it in, think about it. Would you make the trade? Type T for trade, or go ahead and type P for pass. I do think that this move helps out Pittsburgh. However, I still think that you could get Dillard for a little bit cheaper because of how long he's been on the trading block. Another name that we're going to go ahead and bring up here is Kenny Pickett, because he's got his pro day, and a lot of Steeler fans have been saying, all right, Kenny Pickett could have ended up happening. 67.2% completion percentage, 4,319 yards, 42 touchdowns last season, 7 interceptions. What I'm really curious to see is this might not impact the Steelers right now, but there's a lot of trade rumors, and it kind of sounds like Matt Ryan's going to be heading on down to the Indianapolis Colts, which means, and it's actually already a done deal, that he's going to Indianapolis, which means the Falcons at pick number 8, I could actually see them taking a quarterback. So I think if that ends up happening, whether it is Kenny Pickett, I think it's going to be Malik Willis. That could really impact a lot of these quarterback drives. So the fact that the Steelers are at Kenny Pickett's pro day, that tells me that they're obviously very interested in him. Now, we'll keep you guys up to date on free agency, trades, and everything going on in the draft. So if you haven't hit that sub button yet, please go ahead and do so.